Well, hi, everybody. It's Adam, and this is Comic Industry Insiders Live. I'm just adjusting something I should have done before. Wow, I can hear myself. Where is that coming from? Oh, there it is. Okay, great. All right. Hi. We are still working out all the technical details of what it takes to put on a live show. But man, this is the week to really get it right, because this week there is a lot going on in our industry. And we're going to do our best to cover everything that you really need to be hearing about. But I can't do this alone. So this is our pre-show banter section, which means that we kind of do this to kind of let everybody filter into the room, but we definitely want to be hearing from you. We want to hear from you in the comments. So let us know. Keeping it geekly. What's up, man? We should be on your show at some point. Listen, I'm not. Did I go live when I was rehearsing? Is that scary? I don't know. All right. Anyway, let's talk to my co-host this week, not Brian. We couldn't even really find a Canadian to step in. So instead, we went with possibly the smartest person that we know, and honestly, the best person at content that I know, Miss Bre Sarpy.
Hi. Well, happy to be here. I'm obviously not Brian, but
You're still, not Brian. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, everybody.
Sorry.
We weren't able to get Brian. It was tough. Yeah. Thank you for stepping in.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I feel like we found the appropriate week, the appropriate subject for you to come in on.
Oh, I think so.
And we're even going to use you as a bit of an expert. I'm going to bring up some of our regular faces and voices before we bring in some of the special guests for our little pre-show section. Rarely do we have a week where we have somebody in the background who has as much expertise on lots of different subjects we're going to be talking about. But this week, and I get to talk to Joe. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. Yeah, what a week.
What a week.
I feel like we've been passing links back and forth about how long this show is going to get with all the news going on. So thank you.
And literally, as we were kind of rehearsing through it, there was another story that popped up, and I literally said, "Oh, God damn it! Okay, fine, we'll report on that too." Yeah, so
that's
anyway,
a big one.
This we might go 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. Hey, Megan, if we have any meetings that you were expecting me to do in the next 2 hours, we have to push those back. Okay.
I'll check the calendar, but I think we purposely don't schedule you.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. How's your week so far?
I mean, I got a record player. I got some good comics to read. There's a book called Voyeur. Somebody might know about that.
Do you mean this?
Yeah.
Yes, but the cover that I got from last week is a little bit sassier.
Oh,
as it should be.
Mm-hmm. So I've been reading that to prepare for this week.
On topic as well. What was your first? What disc did you first play on your record player?
Rumors Live.
Good call. I like it. Awesome.
It was a classic choice, and had to make sure it was working correctly.
Good deal. I want to bring up, now that you mentioned it, since you mentioned music, I know that this is we do a lot of interviews with people behind the scenes of the comics industry, and one of those interviews we actually quote on a regular basis, where we talk about being the last drummer that somebody met, and the last drummer that we met was Jordan Plosky, and he is going to be a guest. How you doing, Jordan?
It's funny to hear that quote come up sometimes, man, especially when I'm a guest on the show. But it's nice that it stuck with you, man.
Seriously, Anthony, who regularly talked about, it's become like the shorthand is, last drummer. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. We should do it. Yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know, Jordan, before he became the entrepreneur, the tech entrepreneur that he is, He was traveling, what's the word?
Touring is the word.
Touring drummer, right, for different bands. And he talks about, in the interview that we did with him, he talked about how he would go out every night to kind of network with musicians and people who were performing. And he said, I may not be the best drummer you've ever met, but I will be the last one you talk to when you realize you need one. And that was like a light bulb moment for us, like just being the last person that somebody talked to when they knew that they need. I mean, that's just the way networking works, right?
Look, the parallels between being a freelance musician and a freelance comic creator are, very similar. So it's very applicable to anyone who's looking to make it in the industry, any sort of creative industry, any sort of freelance industry. So yeah, if you're a writer or an artist, got to get your face out there. It's just someone thinking of you when they need a position filled.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, Megan, if you want to drop that link in, that'd be great. Somebody should be dropping links in. By the way, team, feel free, drop some links in this week because there's a lot to cover. I don't know how you guys you drew the card on this week, but it is a fancy one. I want to bring in somebody who I think is one of the best entrepreneurs I think working in our industry right now, and is filling so many niches. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the subject of this week's episode with her, Miss Lori Foster. Hey, Lori. There you go.
Hey.
I do the thing where I introduce somebody and I wait till the very last minute to say their name because I like getting that moment of, oh shit, where's the
right. I was like, I don't know. Okay, I guess that's me. Sure.
Diabolical. It's just diabolical, Adam.
It is.
Oh, well, what are you gonna do? You've had a busy week, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Just
trying to figure out your life. The world and how it goes. Someone else who I think I'm looking forward to. I'm sorry, at this point we're gonna run out of time. I can't get a chance to say to everybody. I'm just gonna hit everybody here. Jeff, doing the Lord's work at the CBLDF, I got to imagine you guys are really busy these days, right? We got no audio from you, Jeff. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh no. All right, I'm going to pull you from it. I'll let you tinker, okay? Awesome. Settings. You go to the settings, make sure that your mic looks right. All right, let's see. Oh, so we got somebody making a big announcement about this week. Mr. Chris Yates. Chris, what's up?
Hello. Hi, everybody. How we doing? Excited to be on. Thank you.
You betcha. And your partner in crime, and I don't know if he's actually trying to don't jump off frame. That's not funny.
I wasn't sure if you could see me doing that or not. So that was almost a joke just for me. Hi, everybody.
I appreciate you. You guys, I know have had a busy week, so I appreciate you making the time to talk here. Trevor is this is his first official episode as our producer, and he's been killing himself to get the deck right, killing himself to do all the stuff to get it going. So I appreciate you
starting on the right episode, right? This has been a lot, and it's been kind of fun, kind of exciting, and I feel like if I can do this show next week and thereafter should be a piece of cake. Either that or you fire me.
100%. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to give everybody one shot really quickly. We're going to around the room in order where we are. Last single issue comic that you read and loved. And I'm going to hold myself for last because I thought of the question, but didn't think of an answer immediately. And it can't be something you publish, Bre. Or Lori, or Jordan, you're whatever. Joe also. Okay, ready? Trevor.
Me.
Last single issue. Yeah.
Can it count if it's an old thing that's digital? Because literally the last thing I read was last night, and it was the second Superman comic from 1939 that introduced Baravia, because I was tired of seeing all these people give James Gunn crap for Baravia being that he made up an Israel country and it's this whole thing. I was like, no, Baravia is older than Israel, and so I read that issue last night when I was winding down.
Baravia is older than Israel. And that is the nerdiest thing that's possibly going to be said here today.
Yeah.
And I really love that about you. Bre, what do you got?
I'm not going to follow instructions because I do what I want. And the last thing that I actually read was The Deal by L. Kennedy, because it's smut and it's romance and it's topical for today. So that is actually the last thing that I read, even though it's not a single issue.
And it's good?
Oh, it was so I read it in one night. I read it in one sitting. I never do that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Heard. All right. Let's snake around. Joe, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, luckily I've been keeping my single issue comics right here, so I was able to access what I have. Otherwise, it would have been trouble.
I'm doing the same. I'm looking around like, what else do I have here?
I gotta say, this new run of Lobo by Scotty Young and Ori Corona is pretty awesome. It's all done in one stories, and I highly recommend it if you're like trying to work on your craft and just be like, how do I tell a story in 20 pages that continues on and da 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 da. So it's a really solid made single issue series.
Awesome.
Well done.
And we feature Lobo in the next comic.
That's right. That's right.
So there's that. That's almost a plug. I like it. Megan, what do you got? Some Wonder Woman, right?
No, I already said I was reading Voyeur.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I pre-answered the question. Sorry.
You did pre-answer. That's fair. Jordan, what do you got, my friend?
Well, it's probably been like a week or two since I actually read a comic. I've been reading a Jack Reacher novel lately, but the last comic was either Battle Beast or The Power Fantasy by Kieran Gillen. So those two, both awesome, both highly recommended if you haven't been reading either of those.
Yeah.
Battle Beast is super fun. Just brutal, and The Power Fantasy is Kieran Gillen just being like the smartest guy in the room and voicing himself, I think probably through like 5 or 6 different characters. It's really, really, really good.
You kind of dropped the one that I wanted. I have to come back to the Reacher novels, by the way. Like, I felt like I was ahead of the game because Bob Wayne, probably 20 years ago, if you guys remember Bob, he was the head of sales and marketing for DC. Yeah. And he turned me on to those novels, and actually he would get them early. And after he read it, he would give me it. So, but I think I'm off by 2 or 3. It's been a little while since I caught up. Lori, what's the last thing you read?
I'm gonna go off book like Bre, because the last thing I actually read was also smut. Because we fulfill a lot of smut here. So I've been reading Priest by Sierra Simone, which is excellent. But last comic I read was also The Shepherd by Andrea Molinari. He sent it to me a couple weeks ago, and it's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I apologize. As you were reading that, I was reading something that Megan sent me. There you go. I should focus on the show. What do you got, Chris? What are you reading?
I have Hyde Street from Jeff Johns and Ivan Reyes. I love that they're just basically doing their version of the Twilight Zone, and I think it's super fun. Issue 11 is like a new arc, so super exciting, super fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So,
you know, for a show that has never done reviews, I realize we just set it up as a review, a review show. I keep saying it, but it's the only one I have close to me. I really liked The Hab. The first issue I thought was so good from Bad Idea. And I'm really, but yeah, we did feature it in Comics, the magazine, because I knew it was coming. Look, it's Josh Dysart, it's David Lapham. There's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. Like, what is Bill Sienkiewicz doing the interiors? How do you screw around with that? It's an incredible horror book. So anyway, awesome.
Can we get Jeff back in? I think he's.
Oh yeah, Jeff.
Hey there.
Hi,
Can
Jeff.
you hear me now?
Perfect. Yay. All right, Jeff, we have probably 30 seconds. What was the last thing you read that you loved?
The last was actually the most recent issue of Hello Darkness. I love horror stuff, and I think the last two comics I read were Hello Darkness and Ice Cream Man.
Awesome. Excellent. All right, gang. So the way this works is I'm going to knock you all off, and then we're going to restart this show. And then we're going to really dig into it. For the rest of you that are in the show, please do let us know where you're watching us from the comments. Are you doing it at home? Are you in a comic shop? Are you putting stuff away? Let us know. All right, let's pull everybody out, and we'll do it like, oh man, sorry, there's a lot of you. Here we go. And it's just you and me, Trevor. Bye. Let's go. That's the video. That's the cue for the video intro. Do we know how to do that yet, Trevor? Let's go. There. Friends and neighbors, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Tuesday, and we are finally back in the swing of things, which means that at 2 p.m. Eastern, we go live to talk about, all the things that are affecting the comics industry. I am your host. I'm Atom Freeman, and I work at Prana Direct Market Solutions, and we talk about everything that we think is going to affect your business or career in comics. This week, that's a lot of smut. We are legitimately going to be talking about, what did we do here? Is that the wrong one? Oh, there it is. Let's remove that. There we go. Listen, are we learning? Are we learning as we go? Yes, we are. This week we are. So we're going to be talking a lot about adult content. If you're watching this in public, I can tell you, I don't think we're going to be showing a whole lot of smut, but we are going to be talking about the effects of what that has on our industry and how it goes. And so to help me with that is not Brian Garside. In fact, from now on, I think we're going to introduce her as not Brian Garside. She's the director of marketing for Ignition Press. She's Bre Sarpy, and I'm so glad to have you on this show. It's
thank you for having me, Adam. Pleasure to be here. Always happy to talk about smut books.
When I think of smut, I think of you.
You should.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I think you were one of the first to bring it up.
I outbid you for a smut book, in fact.
That's very true.
It is.
That's very true. That was Small Favors, right? It was the hardcover.
Mm-hmm.
We were at the Comics Pro auction, and I loved that
on my
book.
shelf. It's up on my shelf. It's like my little trophy. It's lovely.
That's really fantastic. Your trophy. Yeah, you took it down. Yeah, you should. You should be proud of that. I wouldn't say you overpaid, but I will say that I did my best to make sure
for a good cause. It's for a good cause.
Why are we talking about smut this week, Bre? And why specifically are you the person to talk to about it?
Well, smut books are one of my absolute favorite things. My library here is mostly filled with smut. It's a Smut Street. Actually really just enjoy romance novels in general. I love the escapism. I go to a romance bookstore every weekend. Every single weekend. They call me one of their regulars. And it's just, for me personally, it's a lovely escape. I love the escapism. And it's popular because, can I swear here? What are my...
Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
We decided to go on our own so that we could swear because we don't really do ad networks. So you go for it.
Great. So baby, they are fucking in these books. Okay. Like that's the fun part. And sometimes it's very like cinnamon roll, cotton candy. And then other times you get into like the dark fantasy, romantasy. It's a really great way to just like read and figure out what you like, what you don't like. There's no shame in not finishing a book. You can DNF a book. It's called Do Not Finish. You can I have so many in my TBR, and you just pick one up and you go, what do I feel like today? What world do I feel like entering? And it's just fun. And then a lot of these men are written by women, and you can tell that they're written by women. And you're like, oh my God, this is why I'm like falling in love with this character, because he's written by a woman. But again, it's the escapism. And that's why I am super, super into the smut books.
I think, we're going to have some other experts on to talk about this. I think Lori hopefully will have some viewpoint into this. Would you say that the majority, you sell some romance books at an Ignition.
We do.
Would you say that the majority of the demographics that are reading, are they skew female? Is that?
Honestly, I think it depends. I think people are finding out about them. Look, with Heated Rivalry, right? We're going to get a bunch of guys going in and being like, what is Heated Rivalry about? So you're going to get the queer community. Like, the queer community was absolutely being fed by Heated Rivalry. But then there's also the not super great side of Heated Rivalry, because we don't want it to turn into a fetishization. Words are hard of romance stories like that. We just love a good love story. And that's what Heated Rivalry was for me. It was the love story. And then you get like the deal on Amazon Prime, which is, you know, male, female. And then we're going to be getting in Bridgerton, we're going to be getting female, female in the next season of Bridgerton. So like there's something for everyone. And I think as more people discover it, they're going to realize that like romance is a really welcoming place.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. And it is, I mean, you know, I'm never going to have a fight scene with, you know, 20 guys that I have to take out in order to get to turn off a nuclear weapon. But I am going to end up with, at some point in a romance, hopefully, you know, and have. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Well, we do have a lot to cover on that subject. We do have a lot more to cover before then. So I wanted to bring up, we're going to talk about headlines. We're going to be dealing with the Kickstarter coming after Smut Comics. And then today there was also an announcement of them saying, well, no, we're not, it's not really us, but it is us. Well, then, as always, we're going to do our Prana bestseller list and bring in some experts to talk about what is and what is not moving inside of comic shops. Big, huge week for news, though. Like, we really have a whole lot to dig into. And we actually have things that we had to add that are not even on this list. So let's dig in first. The president of Marvel Studios, Marvel Comics, I'm not sure exactly what his total name, president of Marvel Comics since 2017, Dan Buckley. So nearly 30 years he's stepping down. And he's going to remain around through 2027. David Gabriel, we already reported, has stepped down. He was the senior vice president of print sales and marketing, and was let go as part of a big change. And then a bunch of the editorial staff is gone as well. We've also heard that there is already a transition team. Brad Winderbaum, currently the head of Marvel Television and Marvel Animation, is now going to oversee the comics and other franchise stuff. Also, David Abdo, formerly general manager of Disney Music Group, is going to come in and help out with the comic side, as well as CB Cebulski remaining editor-in-chief. Bre, what are you hearing about this? Are you concerned as somebody who is, I mean, we all need, in order to do indie press, we kind of need Marvel and DC in place, right?
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though, Adam. I was prepared to discuss smut. So if you want to talk about these parts, you can.
Well, you know what, Joe, you're in the room. Let's bring Joe up. Joe, you talk to a lot of creators. This is Joe. Joe Keating is Eisner Award winning and even Eisner nominated editor this year.
Well, sort of. We'll get to that later.
We're going to get into that in a minute. You talk to a lot of creators around different pieces in our industry. What are you hearing? Are there fears? I have to imagine change always makes people afraid.
Yeah, so I do talk to a lot of creators. I do talk to a lot of staffers, and you know, I got, especially with the magazine now, I got my ear out to the grindstone. So people are concerned. You know, like there's always a propensity to freak out when stuff changes, but there's some real concern. I mean, like we just had a bunch of layoffs. These two guys come from outside of comics. A friend of mine who works with one of them says he's great, so that's awesome. Like I'm not like super concerned about that, but things are going to change substantially.
Yeah.
You know, this combined with the Paramount potentially buying out Warner, thus DC Comics, like I don't know that we know what comics 2027, late 2027 is going to look like. So people are unsure. And I'm not one to really participate in the sky is falling sort of conversation, but the sky is certainly changing, and the landscape is going to be very different very soon. So,
I will say that our buddy Jeremy jumped in with this doesn't seem like a positive spin for Marvel. I'm sensing an even stronger push on the part of Marvel Disney toward digital. Particularly revealing was the comments in the press release. And I think that Mike Choi has come on his channel and is really talking about how we are, you know, this could just mean a big push towards AI, right? I mean, I think that has to be the fear.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a licensing play, you know, like I that's my gut. I don't have any particularly, I've not heard that from other people, but just based off the trajectory that Disney has been taking Marvel since buying out Marvel so long ago, the licensing has only grown. Like a lot of the Marvel content that we've been covering in the magazine is not coming out from Marvel.
True.
You know, and so I think we're going to be seeing more and more and more of that. You know, in terms of the AI side, I haven't seen too much of that conversation with Marvel specifically, anything substantial, anything direct. But it's going to be different. Like I don't think Marvel's going to look the same this time next year.
I mean, it never has. I mean, it's always in play
Yeah.
ever since they were bought by Disney. I think that they've been adjusting and tweaking, and you know, the world of entertainment, the world of tech is changing. You know, from a day-to-day basis. There is no way to, like, we're all going to look a little bit different going forward. I can say that I feel like I've been at this now 30 plus years, and every few years something shifts, right? Something shifts for Marvel, something shifts for Disney. And every time that happens, or something shifts for DC, right? We're seeing the Paramount merger with Warner Brothers. Every time this happens, there are people who tell me, well, you know, the sky is falling. The thing is going to, like, the worst possible thing that is going to happen is that we are going to, these books are all going to be licensed out. Marvel's no longer going to have an editorial team. And it's just never happened. I'm not saying it never will happen, but I'm just not convinced that that is the worst case that we're looking for.
I mean, so two things. One is it does seem more position to happen, but also, like you mentioned Bob Wayne earlier, then that whole Paul Levitt administration, there was a lot of talk of like trying to keep Warner away from DC. DC's killing it right now. Like DC's better than it's ever been right now. A long time after that, you know, a long time after Paul and Bob and that team went away. So like, again, I'm not participating in the sky is falling portion of things. I'm just, I think we're entering uncharted territory with Marvel.
There's no doubt. All right, Joe, I'm sure we're going to have you back, but thanks for jumping in, buddy.
Anytime.
Okay. You know, as we're talking, we got this comment from Django saying he can blame the dentist for him not giving a comment, which is good because he showed up just in time for his slide. We want to congratulate you, Django. And really, we want to congratulate ICV too. Comic Shop Assistant, you guys have been a really fantastic partner for us on the bestseller list. And I think it's good that the data is getting out there. Honestly, I think it's really good that ICV2 is going to be using Comic Shop Assistant to kind of beef up what I think is pretty weak data that's coming from Comic Hub. So I am hopeful that we're going to really see some even better data reporting, and we'll be watching that and seeing what we can steal. So good job, Milton. Glad you finally got Django and team on board. All right. This was a big one. Bre, have you heard about this one? Do you know what I'm talking about? You are on mute. Oh, okay. Well, I can hear me. Okay, so the Eisners were just announced. This is the Eisner nominations for the Eisner Awards, which for those of you who, I don't know why we'd be watching us and don't know what the Eisners are, but they're essentially the comics versions of the Oscars. And this year, the Eisner nominations came out, and one of those nominations went to an anthology called Stardust that involved a lot of different folks. There she is.
There we go.
So yes, as I was saying,
all around, man.
we're all figuring it out, dude. That's part of the fun of doing live is that we all get to embarrass ourselves on a regular basis. Anyway, writer Van Jensen put together this incredible anthology around Stardust. The celebration of this character that had been around forever. And a lot of contributors came into this. A lot of really fantastic people were involved, and they nominated it. There was a one-page book, one-page story in this that was. It was essentially, if I understand it right, it was somebody using AI to make fun of AI. I'm not entirely certain, but it was a known quantity that it was an AI story, and when it was announced. That was like, it was on fire. I don't know if you saw it. Did this hit your radar as well? Did you see all the content all the talk about this?
I've seen some of the talk about it, and I very much am like, you know, I saw someone mention, I believe, I'm going to name drop, don't quote me fully here. I believe I saw some librarians talking about how like, hey, now this actually means like we need parameters in these categories that say like, hey, this needs to be generated by a human and not generated by AI. It sucks that something like this had to happen for that to change. And I feel awful for the people who made this and made their art and put their heart and soul into it, and they were affected by it. And it is something that needed to be called out, because personally, I don't want AI doing creativity things for me. I don't want it writing for me. I don't want it drawing for me. I want it to like make my doctor's appointments and fold my laundry.
That would be great.
Right?
That'd be great. If it can fold laundry, I'm all for robots that fold laundry. Let's do that. I'm with you, but also just from a business standpoint, it makes no sense. I mean, we cannot copyright cannot protect AI generated content. So why would we want to generate intellectual property that cannot be protected? It makes no sense. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the creators that were affected by them pulling this, because I wanted to bring somebody back on. All right, he's going to come on 3 or 4 times. Let's just bring him up again. Joe, you had a story in here, right?
I did. I do. I have a story in this anthology in here. So listen, I got some stuff to say. So let me go with it real quick. I'm not going to take up too much time because I know I got a lot to cover.
Yeah. No problem.
Item 1. Yes, the use of artificial intelligence to create comics, not a great thing. It's boring. It's uninteresting. It uses other people's work to create garbage. Like, fully on board with this. Like Bre said, if it wants to fold my laundry or organize my hard drive and not destroy the environment in the process, we can have that conversation. But we're talking about comic books right now. Item number 2, it's very easy to go online and admonish people and write them through the coals and, play, look at things in retrospect and judge harshly. I'm not here to do that. If you've done this or done anything worthwhile in your life at any length of time, you've made mistakes and you've made bad calls. I've done it. There are things in my career I have had an ideal for and I have fallen short. So fine. That being said, pulling this from the Eisners was a bad call. I was one of the contributors of this book. I was not contacted beforehand about it being removed until that decision had already been made. I have the book here, right here. There is a 1-page story generated with AI. As an editor, I probably wouldn't have run it. It's not very good. It doesn't really hold up to the rest of the book that's made by human beings. I did a story with Mike Allred and Laura Allred. That meant a lot to me. And now that does not get into the Eisner running for a decision. Again, I had nothing to do. The book immediately contextualizes that's an AI story and makes fun of it and shows that it does not hold up to the rest of the book. Look, we need to have conversations about artificial intelligence. We need to have conversations about a lot of things in comics. And I think we really need to start lowering the temperature and being adults in the room and adding some nuance to this. Because right now, a lot of babies are thrown out with the bathwater. A lot of people this is their first book ever, the first comic ever, and they got to the top of the game and they got, Eisner nominated. And now, because of one thing that's been in print for years and no one cared for a long period of time, now all these human beings are affected. This is supposed to protect artists and protect writers and protect creators. Like, what are we doing here? So yes, I do think we need to add certain parameters in the future, but this is a bad call. And I really am calling on the Eisner committee to reconsider. Nothing to do with my contribution to it. Awards don't really interest me that much, but I think a lot of people are getting negatively affected by what feels like a performative decision. So there you go.
I absolutely agree with you. We're going to hear a quote from Van, who put this anthology together. But before you did, I wanted to bring up, we're going to pull some heartstrings with this one. I pulled up a screen grab that I did find earlier today. Let's say add to the stage. There we go. James Asmus actually wrote one of the stories with his kids. They had a chance to be an Eisner nominated book. So yeah, I am absolutely agreeing with you on that. This is I would say it's a bad call, but it's also, I think it might have been a bad call to put it in there. It means you can't protect the book. You can't protect the work. Yeah. It doesn't, we've just established that that's impossible, but let's hear from Van Jensen, who did put this together. I reached out to Van for a quote and he brought us this. He says, I accepted this story in 2022. I failed to recognize amid the mad scramble to finish the book that because of the massive shifts in AI as a threat to creative works, audiences would take it as a stamp of approval for AI. I never tried to hide what it is. It's an AI story meant to critique AI. But some readers were never going to see it as anything but an offensive use of AI. When the debate started, I reached out to the Eisners and told them to pull it. I am actually purely anti-AI in my writing. Clearly, I should have pulled the story before press, and that's on me. My only apology goes to the contributors to the book because their work is stellar and deserves to be celebrated. I mean, I agree with this conclusion. Anything else, though, to add to that?
Again, nothing against Van. Like I said, I certainly have made bad calls in my own career. Like, I get it. But I do think we need to figure out better ways to address issues like this, as opposed to, throwing a nuclear bomb on it. But
I agree. Awesome. Joe, thank you. And I'm sure we're going to bring, you know what? Let's just check and see what the next story is in case we need to bring you back. Oh, you worked for Image at one point.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Listen, this is a comics industry show, so we talk about the changes in distribution and the comics industry. Universal Distribution has announced that they are joining Lunar as an Image distributor, which means that Lunar Image will no longer be exclusively distributed to comic shops by Universal Distribution. Listen, I think it was inevitable. I think this shift is happening. My guess is they're going to find. My guess is that we're going to see Universal's sales go up more than we're going to see Image's. That'd be my, my hot take on this, because I just don't, Universal hasn't really caught on like I'm hoping they would, and hopefully they have the infrastructure to do that. But I'm more concerned for Image, frankly, than I am Universal or Lunar. What do you think, Joe? You worked there for a while.
Yeah, I have less to say about Image. No offense to those guys, as much as to say, like, I love competition and don't trust monopolies. So I think the more we can have, the only really person I've had any recent experience working with Lunar, and they've been awesome nonstop. So I don't know, like, I love Lunar. I love working with them. I wish Image and Universal and Lunar the best. And I think that the more competition this industry has creatively in terms of business and everything, I think that's a net benefit. So
looks like Jeremy agrees with you. Competition is a good thing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing, lots of choices on the market, and celebrating those that are doing it right.
Yeah. And I mean, beyond Image, like, when we had this before, pre-1995, a lot of indie books benefited from having more distributors in there, so this can open up, for the next Raina Telgemeier or the next Jeff Smith or the next whoever, because distributors have to compete over, who they're representing and how they're representing and how they're selling their books. So I think the real winner is the stuff that's on the fringes, the stuff that not making headlines yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And more choices mean that more opportunities for those to be there. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else on this? No. Well, you know what? I'm going to give you just one opportunity to take a look at the next slide, because I think you're going to like it. Thanks for jumping back in. All right. This is
sure.
Yeah. Do you like our top line here?
Ultra Biased Picks has made it from Comics the Magazine to Comics Industry Insiders. I love it. This can't get any more ultra biased. I mean, Rob and John are friends. I was at Image when Chu was brought on board, and Eric and Chris Stevenson and Rob Kirkman really pushed the heck out of it because it was such a great book. I don't really have much else to say beyond, like, these guys deserve any sort of success they have, and I'm really excited for them. And again, like, I think it's only a net positive for everybody. Like, Choose a weird book. It's a great book, but it's weird. And so
you're a comics professional, right? You're an entertainment professional.
Am I? What?
I think you can all agree that this doesn't happen without Chu being in the pages of Comics the Magazine, right? I mean, that seems like an obvious thing to me.
I think it doesn't happen unless the work from the creators is incredibly fantastic and they've got a great team behind them. And Rob, I can say, is an absolute delight. We've got him working on innards as well over at Ignition Press. And we're just we're so thrilled for him, because we just want to see comics do well. Like, another comic doing well is such a boon for the industry. So happy for Chu.
You know what I love? Both about that answer and about Ignition in general is you guys do such a good job of celebrating your creators in a way that other publishers almost don't. It's like they worry that if I promote this creator, the creator's just going to go out and sell another work that is from somebody else. And you guys just lean straight in. And I love that about you.
Oh no, it's about like we don't have stories to publish without them. Like they're the ones that are like pouring their heart and their soul into these things, and we are there to help them and uplift them and give them advice and like just like they'll come to me and they'll be like, Bre, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you can try this. Or they come to me and they go, hey, I have a crazy idea. And I'm like, I love that idea. Let's do it. It's about them and the work. We don't have anything without them. And that's like the bottom line. I just love supporting our creators. They're like our little babies.
I know. We should all be doing that. Well, so to that end, I'm going to show you why this is an ultra biased pick. We at Prana have been working with Rob and John to bring the Ghost Brawler. The Bruiser edition is going to be coming to Kickstarter very soon. Anybody wants to grab that link and drop it into our comments, you absolutely please, because people should sign up. This has been an incredible working with these guys has been fantastic. And I do think it came out of working with them. Thank you, John, for bringing Joe for bringing them in on the Comics the Magazine. It really gave us a chance to get to know them and them to know us. And we're able to, I'm really looking forward to this campaign. But this, I'm going to drop you, Joe, because I think we're going to drop in a new couple people. I have no doubt that at some point I'm going to go, Joe needs to say something. Right.
I'll hang around.
Okay,
thanks for having me.
You bet. So this actually leads to an announcement that we want to make. We actually have two new people, and I'm going to bring them back to the stage here. Chris Yates and Trevor Richardson. Trevor is producing today's show, but he's also our designer on things like Ghost Brawler and other campaigns. Chris Yates comes to us from some really high profile people. I don't know how he's slumming with Prana, but he's been helping us do a lot on the Kickstarter side, or on the crowdfunding side. What the heck happened here? I just went to widescreen instead of pulling that down. Guys, thanks for joining us with the team. Looking forward to having you. I would love to hear from both of you. What makes our philosophy for crowdfunding in particular like distinctive, and why are campaigns like Ghost Brawler, how does it fit inside of the ecosystem of comics in your estimation? Chris, I'm sure you have an answer on this.
Well, we're definitely giving it the room to breathe and do something unique and special, and really giving the creators a chance to just try weird, fun, unique things. And specifically with Ghost Brawler, they wanted to lean to the supernatural side, also the boxing sports side. So we're definitely giving them the ideas to kind of see where it goes and how we can make sure, the tiers make sense, the rewards make sense, and, giving them the PR opportunities to make sure that they feel like they get heard and seen, because, Kickstarter, there's so many opportunities and there's so many choices for people to have. We try and give our clients the opportunities to be seen on podcasts, outlets, news presses, things like that. So I really think what we do is give them those opportunities in a real way. And I think it's fun. Crowdfunding is a unique place that allows people to take ownership of their career and really try and do something fun and unique.
Thank you, buddy. And I know we talk a lot about how crowdfunding should not just be a pre-order, right? It shouldn't just be a web store. It should have its own. It should have entertainment. It should have a piece. You should give something to the audience just by who was reading it. Trevor, you're a big part of that. I think you're doing an incredible job of designing that. You guys have worked together on campaigns before, right?
Yeah, Chris, a couple of years now, it feels like, maybe a year and a half or so. We've done quite a few things. I must be doing something right, because he keeps tapping me on the shoulder and saying, I got another one for you. For me personally, I like the challenge of taking something that can so easily just be very text heavy and make it fun to look at, which is my role as graphic designer. Is how can I make this more than just words on a screen? But just speaking in terms of Kickstarter at large as a platform, it's exactly what Chris is saying. It's the opportunity for empowerment for an individual creator, and it's also kind of the leveling of the playing field to a certain degree. You've got big name, big personalities kind of rubbing elbows with guys who are just putting out their first book, and I like the kind of egalitarian quality of that, and I like the sometimes the meritocracy of that too. You know, there's a way of finding out, like, is this book or idea something that people want, and then you put it up and you see, oh, it just funded in 2 hours, you know, so obviously we're onto something there, you know. And I guess what I'm saying is I like the way it kind of removes a lot of the layers from reader and creator. And as a backer of Kickstarter, you do sort of feel like you have better access to these people than you do just, you know, seeing it in a catalog or seeing it as a pre-order item code, you know, on a website or whatever. And there's the feeling of getting to support somebody that you're a fan of, somebody you care about. You can just directly say, take my money, you know? And I enjoyed that for years. And last thing I'll say about it is I have enjoyed watching Kickstarter change in its kind of reputation or its estimation, especially on the internet, of this is no longer like, hey, I don't have enough money, give me some money, please, to this is a way of building a community and building a following and sort of, again, directly finding your people. Maybe it's only 100, maybe it's 1,000, whatever, but you find your people and they kind of keep showing up for you there, you know, from campaign to campaign. And I love seeing that.
Well, we could definitely be talking about this for the rest of the show, but that's not what the show is about. Although it is a little indirectly. Chris and Trevor, thank you guys for coming on. I'm going to drop you off. Bre, you guys use Kickstarter a lot at Ignition, right?
We used it a couple of times for our cold open campaigns, yes. And I have worked on Kickstarter campaigns in the past.
Gotcha. Well, 2 more. I swear this is my last promo. We do have 2 active campaigns we're working on. Aria for Brian Haberlin and his Anomaly Studios, doing incredibly well, as is the Book of Diodato from our buddy Joe Pruitt, who has been doing bringing back the Desperado line through crowdfunding and coming soon to shops. Like all of these things are going to be at shops eventually. So, all right. I think, let me see where we're at. Oh yeah. Bre, you're going to like this one. This is new. You're going to like this. This is fun. Okay, so used to this show, we would do all the news and we would do our segment. And then at the end, we would do what are called the final cut videos, right? They would run about 5 minutes and they'd be an interview with the creators who have a book on FOC. But then we got to watching Reading Rainbow. And my favorite part was when Geordie LaForge says to the camera, he says, you know, in the libraries, there are 1,000 stories that, you know, people can read, but you don't have to take my word for it. So that's it. I don't know if Trevor's going to be able to pull this off, but this is me saying, you know, each week retailers are going to have to make decisions at FOC. And we hope that you stop at the Prana Publisher section and check out those videos. But you know what? You don't have to take my word for it.
Michael Dolce, co-writer and co-creator of Plan 59 from Outer Space, the sequel to the greatest worst movie of all time, Plan 9 from Outer Space, an homage to the Ed Wood classic, coming at you June 17th from Source Point Press. The invaders finally think they have a way to stop us, and they're going to get us in the one thing we can't live without, our cell phones. Check us out, June 17th, Source Point Press, Plan 59 from Outer Space.
All right. That's actually Plan 59 from Outer Space is available on FOC this week. These are the codes. If you're a Lunar, Universal, or Diamond UK, check out the Prana Publisher section, specifically in Source Point. Okay. All right. I'm done pitching now. We can actually get into some news. Let's do it. Bre, why are we talking about smut today? How did it become? I mean, culturally, there was a shift recently, it feels like, where we're more comfortable talking about smut. Obviously, you talked about, we were talking about earlier, the different series that are available that people are obsessed with on the TV streaming apps. But like, where does this come from? Is it, I mean, it seemed to just come out of nowhere.
You'd think that, but so I actually just went to PRH Client Summit and they gave us, basically I was attacked by the people at PRH Client Summit in the best way possible, because they were telling us that romance is such a huge thing right now, because when we were younger, when my age demographic was younger, like high school, early college, We were reading Twilight and Divergent, and we have now grown up, and we are the ones that are reading romance. And that is why romance has exploded, is because that's what we were reading when we were younger. And now we have grown up and we are fully formed adults, and we're like, oh my God, this still exists. I can still have this feeling and read these books, and they're just fun.
Yeah, you know what? We talk a lot on this show about the evolution of each generation and how they affect. Like we keep talking about the Dogman generation and how it has affected comic shops. It surprises me not even a little bit that same generation is coming to comics in the same way, you know, for romance, for smutty books, right? Because that we do like those. That is our interest. All right. So have you been following this Kickstarter conversation about what happened with Kickstarter and how they are changing it? Or is this something that even has hit your radar?
I got a little bit of a taste of it, but you know what? For the viewers at home, why don't you give us the backstory?
All right. So it was just recently announced Kickstarter is setting up some rules that will mean that they have to stop accepting smutty books, right? They have to stop accepting adult material as campaigns. And each of those, I mean, and considering that this is a huge portion of the comics world on Kickstarter, this is making some waves, right? It means that a lot of this comes from the fact that Stripe is setting down some rules. And I think that there is some conversation about how within the context historically of how government has stepped in to try and affect cultural change, they're now starting to use things like banks in order to do that. There was a phrase that I looked up earlier today and I wrote it down inside of our notes. I wanted to remember as we're talking today. It is, oh my gosh, this is me not quite prepared. I apologize. Oh yes, Operation Choke Point. This is something that happened early on in a Democratic when we had Democrats in office. They wanted to control things like payday loans, right? The banks that were giving out payday loans, and then later they used the same tactic to try and control cryptocurrencies and how the banks were dealing with those. So they used something called Operation Choke Point, that allows them to go after the banks themselves. So it's essentially unbanking these people who are funding this or handling the transactions. It seems that that's what's happening here, is that this particular government wants to try and suppress certain content. And to do that, they're going after the banks. Stripe has been shutting things down. But you know what? At this point, let me actually bring in a real expert instead of pretending to be one, because I can't seem to find my own notes. Lori Foster is one of my favorite entrepreneurs inside of comics these days. She is the co-founder of Laguna Studios. They do a ton of publishing. They do a ton of fulfillment. She's a writer. She's an inker. She's a managing editor. And we have her today to actually sound so much smarter than me. Lori, what the hell is happening?
Oh man, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
It truly is. This has got to feel like, you know, the rug pull for you, is it not?
Yeah. So the last campaign we launched was a big romance adaptation campaign called Sold to the Berserkers. And we kind of preemptively, because we had heard about people getting banned or having issues, we preemptively kind of did everything that those Stripe guidelines suggested, the ridiculous draconian ones. So, you know, we tried not to censor things. We just cropped them. And then, hey, there's a spicy version available. And then any links to outside files we took off before Stripe would see it. And all of this is ridiculous, of course. But I think that's what Kickstarter was kind of trying to do, setting up those guidelines, was to try to cater to this Stripe stuff so that people wouldn't get banned. And then everybody freaked out and was like, oh my God, no smut ever again. That's not what they were trying to do. So now they're backpedaling and saying, hey, well, okay, never mind. Well, don't worry about the guidelines, but if you do get banned, we tried. Here are the guidelines. I chatted a little bit with some people from Kickstarter and BackerKit, and they hate it too. But I think that there's also just issues finding other payment processors that won't pull antics like this. And I think that's kind of the main. And I've been like, can we make a new payment processor? Like, what is that? How do we fix this?
I sure hope so.
With the whole payment processor thing, because so comics aside right now, like I have friends that are like dancers, sex workers, things of that nature. And when you try to set up like these Patreon accounts, you have to be very, very careful when you set them up, because if the government finds out that you are getting paid for something that is considered sex work or offensive, they can seize all of your assets, because they can and there's no way that like you can't get paid via like Cash App or Venmo or Zelle. It has to be tied to a bank account, which I think is crazy.
Right. It's, yeah, I don't understand the excessive, and of course, all across Kickstarter or wherever, there's people getting decapitated and all kinds of fun violence, but sex is.
We're not allowed. We're not allowed to see each other naked. We're allowed to see each other with our heads chopped off. We're not allowed to see each other naked.
Right.
Can you give me just give me an idea of like you run a successful business, you do multiple, you have a like I said, you in the intro you do fulfillment for campaigns. I know that you have a teaching arm that you work on. Your new place has. Give us an idea how much of this how much is it going to affect you? Like what sort of decisions are you going to have to make as a result of this?
I can work around it. I've kind of been reassuring a lot of, because we fulfill for a lot of spicy creators too. And when they initially read about it, they were like, well, we're done. We can't use Kickstarter. There are alternatives to Kickstarter, but also I really think it's just a matter of it's stupid, but it's being careful on that main project page to an excess. Like the book itself is fine. You can have smut, you can have romance novels, but if you have, spicy vellums, don't show them. Just, hey, we have spicy versions of these, have a Discord channel, we have to circumvent all of it. So for me, it's not like I can pivot and kind of work with all of this. And I've been telling my creators that I fulfill for, hey, it's doable. It's really annoying, but it's not like a 0 to 100. Now there's no smut at all. It's just being careful what we show on the project page. And then, on your website, not just having straight nudity and smut showing, but it's not, I don't think most of us have that. So it's workable, but very frustrating.
I'm sure. Well, let's bring up we actually have Jeff Trexler is actually going to bring it forward a little bit. Him talking about how Stripe itself is responding to this happening in other countries, and I imagine it's got to be very difficult for them too to try and figure out what's one standard applies to everyone. But before we do that, we have someone who I think believes that they have an option, and we have met him in the pre-show banter. He's an old friend of ours, and had an announcement this week. Our Jordan Plosky from Zoop, now Dues. What is Dues, buddy?
Yeah, so this isn't something that's new, right? I mean, we've for those who don't know, Zoop has been a competitor to Kickstarter for the past roughly 5 years. Funny enough, we actually did that Stardust campaign that was mentioned earlier in the show. No one knew about AI during the time of the campaign or anything like that, but we've worked with Van and he, great guy. We've done stuff with Dan Panosian, Howard Chaykin, Jim Starlin. We had an Eisner Award winning anthology on Zoop called Comics for Ukraine with Alex Ross, Bill Sienkiewicz, Art Adams, Dave Johnson. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. We've been doing a lot of, I guess, like mainstream campaigns with a lot of top tier creators and stuff with Mark Waid coming up, Billy Tucci coming up, things like that. Last year, we actually ran a campaign for an adult artist named Alexis. It's pronounced Alexi, but Alexis Flower, called I Roved Out in Search of Truth and Love. And he came to us, and we were shocked by how many people had signed up for the pre-launch campaign. But then when we looked at the material, we were definitely concerned and worried because, yes, it was very much an adult book. It actually turned out to be, I believe, and someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but we did over 700 grand on that book. And I think that makes it like the #1 smut NSFW adult content comic campaign of all time, perhaps. But that led us to thinking like, all right, we got lucky. We didn't get, deplatformed by Stripe. They didn't come after us, but we need to figure something out, because that kind of opened up our eyes to this entire community of not just creators who are already on Kickstarter using the platform, but there's a whole community of content creators that can't even put their stuff up on Kickstarter because it would just never pass muster in the first place. So our initial thought was to target that community. And then when we started building our second site, so we have Zoop, but now we flipped Zoop on its head. And if you could visualize that, it's Dooz, DOOZ. So if you visit dooz.gg, that's the new site. And I think we have 7 or 8 campaigns that are already coming soon. I think about 3 or 4 of them have already been deplatformed from Kickstarter. So what originally started as, more adult, sexually explicit content has now expanded into even just like the typical NSFW stuff that you would see on Kickstarter. That's maybe just a little bit of nudity, that hides behind censored bars, and people who are afraid of, starting a campaign, maybe not getting their finances during, or at the end of the campaign and things like that. The big difference is that we've been working on this for months at this point. And yes, we are using a credit card processor that is not Stripe. However, that is a very difficult, time-consuming thing because of the scrutiny, because of the high risk that's associated with adult content. It is not so easy, for creators who have been on Kickstarter before. Oh, I'm going to sign up for a Kickstarter account. Oh, I need a Stripe account, and it takes you a couple of minutes. This has been a months-long, or I should say multi-months long process of onboarding with a new payment processor because of the high risk of adult content, because of the high risk as well of fulfilling a product months down the line. These credit card processors don't like taking on risk. They don't like taking on potential refunds, chargebacks, everything like that. So the world of crowdfunding adult content is a multi-layered risk problem for these alternative credit card processors. And because they're taking on high risk, it's more expensive. So with Stripe, for example, it's 2.9% plus 35 cents for every transaction. Comes out to about 3.5% to 4% for every transaction, depending on the size of the transaction, depending on, if it's an international transaction or things like that. When we're setting up Dooz, we're looking at closer to 8.5% to 9% for all the same reasons, except, well, it's funny, Adam. I mean, like you say, wow, but my impression was when we started this whole thing, I thought we were going to be at like 15%. So I was pleasantly surprised. Now, so it, from my perspective, you're talking about an additional 5% over what you would think of, which is easily remedied by just charging, $1 more for every $20 item, $2 more for every $40 item for creators. So I don't want everyone thinking, oh my God, this is it's not.
Y'all, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but
Sure.
I just did a really quick Google again on this, and the Beat just reported about 34 minutes ago that Kickstarter is getting ready to walk it back.
Well, they announced something earlier, like just before we started this podcast. They did put out a press release, but I think you guys were kind of already talking about it, where it was like, well, they're trying to discuss it, but it doesn't sound like there's really any.
I only scanned. I have to admit, like we were prepping for the show, and I only was able to scan it. But
I really think it's basically what they're doing is saying, hey, okay, we're taking the draconian guidelines away, but Stripe still kind of has those guidelines, so
It's kind of like it's them, not us.
You're right. If you don't follow them, here's the guidelines. If you don't follow them, it's your problem. That's what I'm kind of getting from it. Yeah.
I think we're getting into some interesting legal conversation here, which is great because we brought a lawyer. Bringing to the stage the interim director of the Comic Legal Defense Fund, Jeff Drexler, who has become a valuable resource for our community at large, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say about this. Jeff, how is this not censorship? How is this not banks censoring people?
That's a good question. And part of it has to do with what you define as censorship. If you go back to the Comics Code, remember the code that was adopted by the industry in the face of government pressure back in the 1950s. They were very adamant, saying they weren't censorship. All we were doing is creating standards, content standards. And they say they hoped it would become the standard for all media someday, not just the comics industry. And weirdly enough, when I saw your tagline for this episode, the fight that nobody saw coming, I have to say that when the Comics Code folded 15 years ago, I actually wrote a number of articles about it and saying it actually is a sign of something really bad on the way. And I thought that where we were going next, in addition to content standards by individual publishers, was algorithmic censorship was going to escalate, that we got to watch for platforms and banks. That was going to be the next censorship fight. It seemed remote 15 years ago, but now it is our reality. So yeah, it is a form of censorship. And you brought up Operation Choke Point. Just like in the 1950s, you had governments pressuring the comics industry to impose content moderation rules, essentially. Now we have had the United States federal government, we've had state governments, we've had governments of countries worldwide pressuring banks and platform providers, credit card providers, to create these standards for content, to create requirements for age verification, to require prohibiting certain types of businesses online, even getting down to, as someone said just a few minutes ago, targeting content that may not be literally legally obscene in the United States, because you have to take the work as a whole, but content that just has, say, a single image in it or a single passage. And that would be the basis of getting rid of not just the work, but possibly banning the business itself. So yeah, I consider it a form of censorship. Others are saying, well, no, it's only censorship if the government does it. But I really, given that the word censorship, as it's evolved, and a lot of the censorship over the centuries has been through, whether it's a church or whether it's through these third-party organizations, nonprofits or for-profits acting as arms of the government. I think limiting it to the government obscures the issue.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. So it feels as though you're saying, though, that without the Comic Code Authority, it feels almost as though you're saying that was a layer of protection, though.
It was a defensive move. You could look at it like it's almost like the Kickstarter putting up the rules. They're dealing with Stripe, and they're dealing with people who are essentially debanking these individual projects, and the risk is there for Kickstarter to be taken off itself. We actually have been helping now some businesses that have had all of their payments stopped and even been removed from various platforms. So that's the risk they see. And so what happened in the 1950s, as much as we do not like the Comics Code and CBLDF has opposed it since we were formed, the reality is it was a defensive move by a number of businesses to prevent regulation, to prevent being shut down by the United States Congress. And I think that's what's happening today.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Do you think that there's that there is a corollary then between what Kickstarter is doing and what the Comics Code Authority was?
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, to see that, there was a huge shift in the kind of content that the comics industry was able to create as a result of the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah.
Do you see that as the part of what you see that playing out in this world? Are we going to see a shift in content? I mean, arguably the reason superheroes are so important to comics in the US is because of the Comics Code Authority, is because of that censorship, right?
I do think we're already seeing it, because I know a number of people, various publishers, a number of creators, because they ask us this question, are already thinking, well, in light of what's happening in legislation, in light of what's happening in changing norms for enforcement, in light of this debanking, how can we shape our content to avoid getting caught in this net? And so I want to say, we are 100% opposed to censorship, and we're doing everything we can to stop this. But I do sympathize, as somebody who's worked in corporate compliance and corporate ethics before coming here. I used to advise businesses on how to deal with these situations. I sympathize with them, because it is a really naughty, that's KNOTTY, not naughty. It's just a really sort of tangled compliance issue. And so I see why these companies feel like they have to do this, because really their entire business is at stake.
Would you do you have any advice? I mean, we've got here another platform, right? We've got Dues, who's trying to be a platform for that. We have Lori, who is a publisher and a fulfillment house for this content. We have in our chat, we have many retailers who are dealing with this content.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for each of these, like, going forward, and how, when they start to feel that breath on their neck of censorship, how should they be reacting?
Well, one of the first things I have to say, one of the weird things about being a lawyer is that there are these ethics rules designed to protect, basically trying to get people to pay for lawyers. And so one of the things we're required to say is, what I'm about to say is not legal advice. Sort of, this is not a pipe of the law. This is not legal advice. This is just an educational discussion. Find your own lawyer to help you with these things. Now, having said that, there are a number of things that one has to think about. One is, this is a compliance issue. It isn't something that can be looked at as informally or casually as I think we allowed ourselves to do for a number of decades. There was a sense that every company had its own standards, and as long as you kept the porn stuff out of the reach of kids, you were okay. The past 5 years, there have been a lot of changes, and we have to keep up with those changes. That's one of the things we're trying to do here at the CBLDF. So to get into some specifics of just some things we've talked about today, the dues, Jordan, what you're doing there is something that I think we're going to see increasing. But everything that Jordan has talked about is right on target. It's more expensive. It still has a lot of compliance issues that these providers, for the adult payment processors, they have to follow a lot of rules. They're very careful about who they accept, and it's still the possibility that they're going to get debanked by some kind of bank or credit card processor, or credit card company. So it is not a cure-all, but I can see more and more kind of little areas where people are sort of like the underground distribution networks that formed in head shops and independent magazine stores and things like that in the 60s and 70s. I could see kind of a new underground forming for comics, graphic novels, manga, using payment providers who are more able to, or more willing to serve that market. I do think that understanding, if you're not willing to go that route, or there are obstacles to going to that route. One other thing, there's also scale issues. Those payment providers, many of them are not built to handle as much traffic as, say, a Stripe, or some other large, or PayPal or something like that. I think one thing that companies may want to do is think about, there's survival tactics that companies have had to use for decades, is think about how to be really clever and work within the rules and still get a lot of what you want out there in terms of your images and text and sort of the content that you're trying to build. Even mainstream companies have had to deal with that for decades. They've wrestled with the Comics Code, but they've also had to wrestle with the law. And I think that that's something, if you can, there's a natural temptation to view any kind of company that's imposing these rules as the enemy. And what I think that we have to do is recognize that there are powers out there that are bigger than any one of these platforms. And the people at Kickstarter, the people at Zoop, the people at any number of platforms, they're trying to keep these platforms alive. And to the extent that you can get your work out there, figure out ways to work with them, and maybe creating kind of a new generation of work that very cleverly evades the censors while getting stuff in there that might even be a bit snazzier than you might have even imagined beforehand, I think is going to be good. But the biggest thing, I know a number of people here at brick and mortar shops, is got to be careful. I know there was a note in the comment about conservative area parents asking about books. There are parents out there who are doing that in part because they're concerned about their children. There are parents out there who know they can get a lot of internet clout by busting the local comic shop. We are helping with one comic shop that's going through that right now. It's a very difficult situation. So being careful, knowing it is more important than ever to understand the content of the books that you're selling, and to understand where they are in the store, what kids can access, what kids can't access. It's important to understand the content of what it is that you're selling online. You might even look up some material online, or if you're not familiar with how to do that, contact us, and I'll try to put you in touch with a volunteer lawyer, or if I can, help you myself, and learn some of the rules for when you need to do age verification for sales online. There are different rules in different states. Getting aware of that new compliance environment is crucial.
Thank you. Jeff, if anybody needs to contact the CBLDF, God forbid, how should they proceed? And maybe what should they do before they contact you?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question. If you have a lawyer that you work with, I think that we work very closely with local lawyers nationwide. So I'm a big believer in that, because I'm from a small town myself, a small town where this stuff was an issue. And one of the things that could affect your ability to win or to get out of a situation is you want to avoid the sense that it's the big city person coming in and lecturing us about how we should live in our community. So I work very closely with local lawyers who can be that mouthpiece, who are trusted by their community. So talk with your local lawyer about it. Don't be afraid to connect the local lawyer with us if you don't have one, or if you just want some backup, somebody to work with who's experienced with these issues, to work with your local counsel. Email us. The easiest thing you can do is email or DM. info@cbldf.org. That's just our acronym. If you feel more comfortable reaching out to me directly, because I am a lawyer, jeff.trexler@cbldf.org. Email me there, or DM us at any of our various socials. We're on X and Blue Sky and Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you, Jeff. And thanks so much for coming by. Jordan, let's how about you? How can people hear about dues? What's going on at Zoop?
Yeah, for people who are just looking to crowdfund non NSFW stuff, we have Zoop. You could always get in touch with us at hello@wearezoop.com. For dues, we're not up and running just yet. We're not live. We haven't officially launched, but for creators who are looking for a soft landing, for somewhere else to go, who are looking for alternatives, we're here to help. You can email us also, hello@wearezoop.com. Myself and my partner, we check all those emails. So, we're still very hands-on with every campaign. We'll get back to people as soon as we can. We've been talking to a lot of creators in the past couple of weeks here. Clearly because of everything that's been going on. Look, I think that there's just a lot of confusion. There's a lot of speculation, and no one has any real concrete answers about what's going on, why it's going on, and what the new potential restrictions are. And even with the walk back, it just kind of feels like, well, the toothpaste's already out of the tube. How do you build that trust back when it feels like you just said, hey, to a third of a category, basically, sorry guys, there's really nothing we could do to help support you. You know, look, Adam, you and I go back.
Let's not.
With like like a long time. You know, the goal has always just been to help creators, you know, and figure out the best way. You know, I love comics. I could never write or draw, so this is what I do to help support the industry that I love and support creators and content and work. You know, I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in objectivity when it comes to art. You know, everyone has their own thing that they like, right? It's all subjective and it all deserves a platform. And that's really what we're doing, you know, with Zoop and now with Dues, is trying to give that platform to people who want it, need it, are looking to reach their fans. And yeah, I mean, you know, we're here to help. We're here to take input as well as we continue to build out functionality on the site, as you know, in terms of just figuring out like, what does this particular audience over here want when they come to a platform. And yeah, hopefully we can provide a soft landing for those who are affected by what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Thanks so much. Lori, I'm blaring through at this point because we're already over the amount of time we usually do this show, and we still have more show. How should people find Laguna Studios, and what should they be doing with y'all?
LagunaStudios.net, Laguna Studios Comics on Facebook and Instagram, Laguna Studios on Kickstarter. We have a campaign live right now for the Shaolin Nun, so make sure you check it out. School of Comics also on Instagram, because we're doing that. I think that's everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming by. I've been looking forward to having an excuse to have you on the show anyway. So I'm sorry it had to be under these circumstances, but we'll definitely get you back for another reason.
Better circumstances next time. Thank you.
Amen. All right. Thanks, Lori. We did it. We talked about it. We talked about the smut.
We talked about this.
And we did. You know where the world went wrong, Bre? It was when we stopped having classified ads. I think if we all just had classified ads that we were using to communicate with each other, like say in Comics the magazine,
that would just
all be. We're not going to tell you to not put smutty lines to sell your smutty comic book in our classified ads. I don't think. Are we going to do that, Joe? I don't know. We'll see. He's shaking his head, so I think we're okay. Yeah, you guys have heard me make this pitch. It's $20. You can reach 30,000, 50,000 plus comics fans. So you definitely want to be doing your classified ads in Comics the magazine coming up. All right, let's jump in. We have a special guest in the back room who's been very patient, and I can't wait to bring him forward because he's been so good at this. It's time for the Piranha bestseller list. I don't know if you watch this part, but Ignition makes this list on a regular basis. Not this week, but you know, whatever. This week you didn't. There are weeks where you have the hits and it's obvious. You're like tearing it up. That's okay. All right. This is a project we've been working on for a very long time with our friends at Managed Comics and Comic Shop Assistant. It means that we are dealing with over 600 stores in various markets. We are working with their POS data for 80,000 plus consumers. And this week, as was last week, because frankly, we want him here as often as we can, we have Sean from the Comics Pals joining us to talk about last week's books. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. I'm doing quite well, Adam. And normally I'm excited to see you on here, but actually this week I'm very excited to see Bre with you because yes, hello. It's good to see you. I'm a huge fan of Ignition, and I know that you have a big part to play in Ignition Press's success. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you for checking our stuff out, and thanks for doing our interviews and stuff. I've been loving them.
Love it. What I also love is this week's bestseller list. And Adam, thank you so much for providing this. There's always interesting nuggets in here, and I can't wait to dive in at your word.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the market share by publisher. So this was for last week. It's 4 single issues. We're not yet talking about trade paperbacks. We are now starting to talk about the monthlies, but right now we're just talking about the week to week. Last week, we saw Marvel taking back the top spot. Who knows how long that's going to last now that who knows what they have. We've got DC coming in at number 2, behind them about 5 points. Image at a 12%. That seems to be where they land. So far, so good, right? How does Marvel take it last week?
You know, it's interesting because when you look at the top 10 only, that's a very it's a very apt question, because in the top 10, of course, the top 3 are DC books. And then, you know, Marvel rounds that out with you've got Ultimate Endgame on there, Amazing Spider-Man, Death Spiral, which is an event that people have said that they don't like, but it's number 6 on this list, so that's kind of interesting. You've got Uncanny X-Men here as well, and Captain America. So and Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day. Marvel's strength this week, like a lot of other weeks, is just hitting that middle space where they kind of can dominate with a lot of big books. Like if you look at the 14 to 20, almost all of that is Marvel. So they're really, really dominating in that middle space this particular week.
And they also tend to win by SKUs, right? They love extra covers. They love making sure that they love to fill the spaces. Dynamite at 6%, IDW at 2%, Boom Entertainment at 1.5%. Prana Publishers, all on Comics the Magazine. I was asked about this last week. When we make the list, we usually isolate ourselves down to Comics the Magazine so that none of our client publishers feel like that we're, trying to steal their glory. Dark Horse, Titan, Mad Cave Studios coming in just under 1%. And they are the publisher that could, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I love that. As you mentioned, that top 10 looking here, Batman, Absolute, Superman, Daredevil, number 2.
This is the week priors, I think.
Is this? Oh my gosh. Trevor, what did we do? Is this 512, 512, 15, 18? No, this is right. This is right.
I've got it right here, sir.
God damn it. All right, you read them off to us. Let's run through it. We're still working out the kinks of the new show.
So we've got Absolute Batman at number 1, to the surprise of nobody. That is the biggest book in the direct market space every time it comes out. Absolute Martian Manhunter at number 2. This is issue 11, which really surprises me that this book is doing that well for a character that typically doesn't sell this deep into the run, when I know so many people in my community, the Comics Pals community, who are trade waiting this. So that's a really good note as well. Barbara Gordon Breakout at 3rd with issue 1 of that. Ultimate Endgame at 4, issue 4. A lot of people saying they don't like this series, but it's still performing quite well. Transformers at 5, issue number 32. That series has been great. It's been doing great. ASM, Amazing Spider-Man, Venom, Death Spiral, Body Count. This is kind of like the finale summation of that event. Again, people say they don't like it. It's number 6. Uncanny X-Men at number 7. This is issue 28. Captain America number 11 at 8th place in the rankings. And I have something to say about this, because Captain America is the book that Marvel is building out its events going forward with. Armageddon is Marvel's next big thing, and all of that is being built out here in Captain America and the pages of Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. So the fact that this is 8th on the list kind of worries me just a little bit, because it makes me feel like not enough people are aware that this is the book to read going into Marvel's summer event. But number 9 is Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's the first issue of that. I got to imagine Dan Slott is happy. And then Fury of Firestorm issue 2 is number 10, which I think is interesting, because when in the world has a Firestorm series been in the top 10 of anything? I love it.
How does Firestorm? How does that happen? I saw our buddy Django. They do a great show where they talk about their favorites of the week, and they had Firestorm up. I was really surprised to see it. Why is this happening?
You know what? The answer is twofold. So the first prong is that people are genuinely really excited about DC's Next Level initiative. 2 of those books did take the top 10, Barbara Gordon Breakout, and of course Firestorm. The other major factor is that this is a creative team that people are really into. Jeff Lemire is a writer who just frankly has a lot of fans. People love everything he does, and at DC right now, he's got a hot hand, and the art is just absolutely stellar. I'm trying to pull up the name of the artist here. I thought so. Rafael De La Torre. De La Torre is fantastic, and what he's bringing to this book is the modern art, but also there are retro pages that look amazing as well. So this is just great creative team buoyed by a DC that is exciting right now.
Very, very true. And I think that we had both those guys actually at Valiant back in the day, and they were incredible back then. So seeing them, not surprised we see them as the creative team on this. Any other big surprises? We're obviously. Oh wait, I think is this the right one? Yeah. Is that the right one?
Sir. No.
God bless America. We can't do it. We can't make it happen this week. I'm sorry, Bre. I'm sorry. We wanted to perform for you, but here we are.
There are.
I could just talk about my smut book recommendations and we can just forget about
that. Oh, there it is. There it is. We did it. Oh, look at that.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Any other surprises that are not in this top 10?
Yes. So just outside the top 10 was Dork number 4 at 13th. I am always singing the praises of Dork. I genuinely love this book, and it outsold. Get this, guys! It outsold Wolverine, Mortal Thor, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's no shade to those books; those are excellent books. I'm simply illuminating how well Dork is doing in the marketplace right now.
Is that all on the back of the connection to Dungeon Crawler Carl? Do you think, or is that like what you get him in the door?
You know what? I actually think that this is in big part due to the speculation boom that Dork first was exposed to. And then a lot of people said, wait a second, this is actually pretty good. Because if you'll notice, it's the only one of those speculator books that has maintained its sales beyond its first couple issues.
I think that also goes to the fact that speculators read comics and show back up when the books are good.
Yes.
Unlike what a lot of our retailer friends often say, where they feel like they disparage them to their own detriment, I think. But yeah.
The last note I have is actually about a book that you mentioned before, and that is Ben 10 number 1. Because despite the fact that it didn't come out this week, it's 36th on the list.
Incredible.
After a couple of weeks of being on the stands, to me, that's a signal that people really want Ben 10 in comics, and I love that.
You know what? And I think this is the actual books like this are the reason for having point of sale data as a bestseller list and not just sell in, right? Sell through, because it tells you what the fans are showing up for every single week. And they come back and they come back and they come back. I do want to say we did get I don't know if we're going to be able to get this this image up, but we did get the Kickstarter the top 10 market share wrong, so I want to be able to share it. DC Comics actually won this week. That's why we were so surprised. 40%. Marvel at 34.5, Image at 14, Dynamite at 2.63, Boom at 1.84, IDW at 1.58, Ignition at 1.48%. Dark Horse. I know. See? And then we flubbed it for you. We were on the list. I'm so sorry. Dark Horse at 1.43, Titan at 1.3, and Bad Idea coming in at 1.79. So there you go. Sorry about that, guys. We're, one of these days we're gonna actually produce a live show that is technically perfect. And I'm sure it'll be very boring as well, but Awesome. Is this the top? No, yeah, we got it. Okay. All right. Sean, thank you for sticking around, buddy. This was I know this was a long one, and I appreciate you sticking around and jumping in on this, because as Megan talks about, we love having you. It's like post-game analysis that you come in. It's one of my favorite parts of the show these days. I really appreciate it, buddy.
It really is a pleasure. And if this kind of flair is something that you're interested in, you can find me and the rest of my co-hosts on the Comics Pals twice a week live, Thursdays and Saturdays. This Thursday, we'll be talking about all the big releases in the industry that I will be back on this channel to analyze with Adam and Brian and maybe Bre next week right here.
Love it. Thank you, buddy. And if you are in comics publishing and you want to be promoting, I go on that show. They are spectacular. And it's worth waking up early on a Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
It really is. Yeah, fantastic. Also, if you want to actually see the actual list and the actual market share, please subscribe to the Prana Bullet. Go to pranadm.com or scan this QR code, and we will get you on the very next one. It is an email list that is put together by somebody who actually knows how things are put together, our own Megan Marsden, where she gives you all of the bullets, all of the top headlines of that week. This week is going to be in a pretty incredible list. Also, all of the market share, the top 400, and all of the data that we think you need in order to run a business or career in comics. Also, if you don't mind, Comics the Magazine comes out the first week of every single month, and we would love to get you on our mailing list. We'd love to get on your polls. We'd love to make sure that we are in your lives talking about comics every single week, because that's what we love to do. Speaking of things we love to do, Bre, what else should people be putting on their subscriptions?
Oh my goodness. Well, number one, you need to be putting the Dog Sitter on your subscription. That is coming out next month. We were talking about romance. This is continuing in romances from Ignition Press. Additionally, I'm going to shout out Just Brutal. I'm going to shout out Roots of Madness, which is Eisner nominated because Miss Stephanie Williams is nominated for Best Writer for the Eisners. Sharon Bad Cave for Temporal. And I believe Street Sharks from IDW. Like, she's killing it. I'm going to shout out Just Brutal. I'm going to shout out Bloodland. I'm going to shout out, hold on, The Other Half. More romance, amazing. But yeah, give Ignition a shout out. Like, check them out.
Absolutely. And they're number 7. Yeah, number 7 in this week's market share. And I can't believe we didn't get that graphic up. All right, I'm done.
Wait, hold on. Before I go, the other thing I want to say is just Smut-wise, Ice Planet Barbarians could totally be really fun for folks who are into the monster tropes. If you're into Western Cowboys, Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, thank you very much.
100%.
If you are into the TV adaptations, obviously we have the Heated Rivalries and we have The Deal. Heated Rivalry is on HBO. The Deal is on Amazon Prime. So very good. And then one of my favorites, trigger warning, erotica, mass play, stalking, but lights out. Absolutely fantastic. The third in the series just came out, Game On from Nevessa Allen as well. And then you've got your Allie Hazelwood's Bride, Vampire, Werewolf. There's all these different types of tropes that you can look into. And then if you're looking for femme on femme, Dowry of Blood. And then if you're looking for multi-partners, Pucking Around.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
I was like, I'm not going to leave without giving my book recommendations because I pulled them off my shelf for this.
I'm so glad you did. Oh, did we? Yeah, I just want to show this right here. Look at that. We got it right. Oh, thank goodness. We got there. Anyway, thank you, Bre. I think you more than you definitely got the brief. So I'm looking forward to the next time that Brian can't be here because, sorry, Django. We have our new guest. Bre knocking it out of the park.
Here's the thing. As I get more comfortable hanging out with y'all, there's going to be more heckling. So
I can't wait. Thank you so much. This has been a joy. Awesome. All right. Now the rest of you, I have a certain thing we want to do. Like, those of you who you're reading comics, you love it. You keep thinking about making them. I just want to say thank you for picking them up, for showing up, for buying the books, for supporting the Kickstarters. Thank you. If you're working at a comic shop or you're working on a Kickstarter right now, you are doing the work to make sure that people get to see the work that is done by these creators, or if you're the creator themselves. I know how hard it is, especially after the first day and you're trying to get attention to the week 2 and week 3. Thank you. If you are packing boxes or unloading boxes today, they're full of comics, man, you guys, there's no way we have an industry without you. Thank you. And finally, for those of you who are, in this war, shall we say, over distribution, who are showing up to make sure that that our comics get to the hands of people who love to have physical items and sit and give their time and attention to the work of these creators. There's no way we would be in this without you. So thank you. For all of you, I want to say thank you. And because really this week you saved comics. All right. Namaste, y'all. Trevor, this is where we run the outro. Maybe I'll push the button. The button's got to be here somewhere, right?